Welcome to the Tarot Coven cast. Real people, real talk, real magic. Hello out there, lovely listeners, and welcome to another bonus episode of the Tarot Coven podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jasmine.
I'm Jekanovia.
And I'm Jessie.
And this time on the show, we're here to talk all about another Wheel of the Year celebration. It's the second of 3 harvest festivals. Many of you may know it as the autumnal or fall equinox. It's time to dish on Mabon. As always, with these bonus episodes, we're going to talk about what this day means and how you can celebrate it. So let's dig right in with some of the basics, and let's get going with just the dates. What I saw in my research was that basically, as I already kind of said, this coincides with the fall equinox. So we're looking at sort of September 21st to like the 23rd. But I even saw some people or some, certain sects of like witches or druids, let's say pagans, that will celebrate right up until the end of the month. So I guess it kind of depends. And I'll get Jekanovia's take on that in just a second. If we're looking at how this celebration connects with the phases of the moon, this would be the last quarter moon, which is kind of a time of reflection and letting go, but also giving that final push of sort of action for the rest of the cycle. And of course, in terms of astrology, this coincides right with Libra season, and I love that because this is another date that's, what is it called? It's like the equal amounts of light and dark, right? And Libra is one of those balancing signs. So I love that really coincides with that. But let's check in with our Wheel of the Year expert, Jekanovia. I'd love to know what some of the history of this celebration is and like how our ancestors were celebrating it and how we're celebrating it now today.
For sure. Well, just to go back to what you mentioned, a lot of people do actually celebrate it right to the end of the month because it's like that harvest season. It's not just the one day. If you think back, the ancestors, they didn't just harvest for a day or two. It was a process.
Took longer than that, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking like towards the ancestors, for them, it was the harvest of all the fruits and the veggies. Lunasaw was, the grains and the berries, but this was your apples and your tomatoes depending on where you were in the world, but it was all of your main harvest. And then, of course, moving into Samhain, that was the harvest of the livestock to get them through the winter. So that's why the associations with Samhain is the death and the sacrifice.
Right.
But it was also a time of like bartering because that's when everybody had their influx of stuff. So they would barter and trade and they would check in with their friends and family, make sure everybody was set for the winter. So they'd share, to less fortunate, making sure that everybody was, had a good start, at least for the winter. It was that Thanksgiving kind of feeling. They would get together and have a big feast together because with the coming winter, chances are they weren't really going to see much of each other until the following spring.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, so and all that like preservation too. So your jams and your jellies, like modern practitioners would do a lot of jelly making, especially that apple jelly, any kind of apple ciders, things like that.
Yeah, it seems like apple is a big thing for this celebration. And is that just because of the timing of the year? Like this is when this is the best time for them. So it kind of just, corresponds.
Yeah, well, because apples, believe it or not, they actually last a long time. So your apple harvest would get you through almost till spring, and that would keep you healthy with that vitamin C. So it would stop you from getting sick over the winter.
Yeah.
So apple is a main thing. Plus, too, because it's holding those seeds of the future in it.
Yes,
so
that's such a cool symbolism. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you do when this date on the Wheel of the Year comes around?
Well, of course, at the altar, I do this period. I like completely clear off my altar. I scrub down the space. I kind of reset the whole thing because that's actually part of my process as well, because it's kind of like the opposite of spring cleaning. It's your fall cleaning, getting ready for the winter. So instead of shaking off the dust of the winter, this time we're actually preparing. So we're just starting fresh, reorganizing, taking stock. So, and doing like mending. So mending your blankets, mending your clothes, finishing projects that maybe you didn't get around to through the summer, making sure that you're prepared. So it's all that preparedness and thinking ahead.
Gotcha. So, yeah, making sure you're ready for the season ahead.
Yeah. And because of, we have to winterize our chicken coop, and we've got the gardens and things. So there is a lot of that for me in my practice.
Yeah, and I read, I love the way that you put it. You wrote this whole ebook on this celebration, and you described it as like cleaning the tub. You don't want to get into the bathtub if you haven't given it a nice, good scrub down, right? And that, I don't know, for some reason that has just really stuck with me. And so that's what I keep thinking of in terms of Mabon. Like, it's like, all right, yeah, time to get all that soap scum and grime off. It's like, we really got to clean and get ready to tuck in for the winter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, who wants to soak in what's not serving you anymore,
Exactly, yeah.
And so it's figuratively and literally, of course, cleaning your space and really scrubbing it down, and just spending the time and giving the focus and intention that it deserves.
Yeah, and it seems like there's a lot of sort of correlations almost between just a Thanksgiving celebration and Mabon. And I wonder, I mean, I don't know how things get so changed around in calendars, but, usually our Thanksgiving isn't until sometime in October. And then I know down in the States, they're not doing Thanksgiving until late in November. But it seems like I totally get the Thanksgiving vibes here, especially with how it corresponds with the certain phase of the moon and just all the harvesting stuff. And I don't know, it's just super interesting to me. So Jesse, let's chat a little bit about, I know we mentioned it on one of the earlier bonus episodes, you got this like big book of correspondences. And I know that you wanted to talk about some of the ones that you found for Mabon. You want to dive into some of those?
Absolutely. And it's funny, as Jekanovia is talking about cleaning, I have literally all weekend been cleaning my house and cleaning my space. I thought it was just because I had a little extra time. I've been the only one around in the house. And it's felt so good.
Yeah.
And thinking about the next coming weekends, it's like, yes, kicking into project mode where it's like, okay, I've got to get this done. I'm looking at the yard, things need to start being trimmed. And so it's funny, and I'm sure our listeners are also thinking about all the things they've probably put on their list to wrap up. But yeah, really feeling that vibe to just clean out the space for sure. And what we're talking about here is the intentions of the season being accomplishment. And boy, doesn't it feel good when you can check those things off of your list, especially the ones that have been hanging around for a while. Because let's face it, the summer, especially up in the Northern Hemisphere, usually it's a slower time. You just want to be outside. The days are longer. It's like, who has time to clean out your closets when it's, so beautiful the weather is, and so we have to take advantage. But yeah, making sure that getting those things checked off, feeling accomplished about them. Again, the agriculture piece, as Jekanovia mentioned, finding balance. So Libra season, hello.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe reassessing the priorities that we have going forward, and knowing that we're moving into the slower season of winter where things, yes, are darker and we go inward, and it's really that time of rejuvenation. And so planning for different goals and grounding, right? Like, okay, last chance to get into the earth, feeling it, toiling it, getting ready for its snap over the winter. And so I love that idea of just kind of that those final steps of our connection, with the true soil itself, at least for those of us that live in parts of the world that have a true winter, when it gets too cold to dig after a certain point.
It's starting to feel a little bittersweet. Like, everything you're saying makes perfect sense. This is the last chance. Get your feet out there in that dirt, like soak it all in as much as you can. And I've been feeling that this weekend, especially because we had such nice weather after a week of just gray and rainy. And then this weekend I was like, I got to be outdoors as much as possible and just do all that I can to take this in while I can. So
well, it sounds like you're embodying one of the main themes of Mabon, which is gratitude. And that's knowing that it's about to change. You do take stock in what it's shown you, which we've learned. And I think even more so this year, we're all just really more mindful and conscious of, the things that we have and the blessings that we have. And, not knowing, there's so much that's out of control. It's like, well, we can just be grateful for each day and taking stock in that. So I love that you mentioned that. Yeah. And so lots of deities and energies, goddesses and gods connected to the season. So I am not the expert. I think Jack Novia probably knows more about this, but one of the gods that caught my attention was Bacchus, who is god of the season. And I thought this was hilarious because I immediately, we know he is the god of drink and enjoyment and wine, and he's always got the grapes, and it's just like it's always a party with him. And so that's why I love these Wheel of the Year celebrations, because they truly are like
it's just always a party. Yeah,
it's a party.
Time for some debauchery.
Yes.
Totally. In fact, in my tarot card, I was connections. I'm like, Bacchus makes me think a little bit of devil card, but we'll get there in a second. But colors will be blues, brown, gold, maroon, orange, violet, and yellow. And I thought it was really interesting that we've got the purples coming out, maroons, but in the herbs for the season, it's asters, blackberries, chrysanthemums, ferns, grapes, ivy, marigold, sage, some of the plants, grain, barley, thistle, acorns, yarrow. And I have some beautiful aster bushes in my yard right now that are blooming beautifully purple. And then the grapes, thinking about everything being so juicy and ready for the harvest. So I kind of love that the colors are coinciding with the herbs and the plants that are available to us at this time. And again, with the crystals, we have amethyst, so purple again, and yellow topaz. So lots of themes here coming through. And then I just recently received in the mail the Book of Shadows from A Witch Alone, Danielle.
Ooh.
And we are really excited. I'm going to plug that we are hoping to have her on the podcast for season 2. So looking forward to that conversation. But I have been loving this workbook, and she references these essential oils for this Sabbat, which is aloe, cinnamon, cedar, clove, frankincense, myrrh, and pine. So really getting those fall smells going on. Birds, so wild geese, Canada, we have a lot of geese here too. Hawks,
nice.
Swallows, swans, and I see even in A Witch Alone's workbook here, she mentions eagles and blackbirds. So
very cool.
That's some other bird symbolisms. And then last but not least, just animals, dogs, wolves, and then think about the just our agriculture animals, not to get into Samhain, but we're kind of heading into, that time. And as I was thinking about all this, I'll just mention quickly, I was trying to make this connection of the season to which chakra, however you say that. And really because we have this creative energy going on, a lot of those golds and orangey tones, it was interesting that the connection between a lot of the colors, herbs, plants, elements are all second chakra or our sacral chakra correspondences. And so this is really where that second chakra, so right, we start at the base with our root chakra, Muladhara, that's the red, and then we move up to orange. So this is kind of located in where like the sexual organs are. And this is your creative center and about joy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a great connection there. And so really thinking about how we can activate that second chakra. And so much of that is by just doing what we love and being creative and doing the projects and really embodying oranges in our life, whether it's what we're eating or what we're wearing or kind of the spicy fragrances that we have around us, getting into our, the fall with the leaves and everything that's kind of turning the colors there. So this is a way for you to tap into your abundance, making a connection with that creativity, your desires, emotions, passion, pleasure, hey, sex if you want, and perhaps even some fertility. So if that's whatever time and space you're living in the moment. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, so much to go off of there. I mean, like the whole, just the chakra in general. I mean, there's so much just to, oh, it's so juicy. There's so much to dig in with there. But yeah, thank you for that huge list of things, Jess. That was awesome. I wanted to kind of go back to the deities a little bit. I noticed here in the list that we have, there's a couple of other ones, and it looks like there's one that's either this is like this day is their namesake because there's one named Mabon, but there's also the Green Man. And have we brought this guy up before, Jekanovia?
I think we might have at the summer solstice
Okay.
episode, possibly.
Because it's sounding familiar, and I know that I have seen like a depiction of him in a television show, so I wasn't sure if I was getting things mixed up. But the idea of there being an actual god or deity named Mabon was making me think of if there's like a story or some kind of folklore around this celebration, because I remember when we were doing Ostara, there was that whole story about the Easter Bunny, well, not really the Easter Bunny, but the bunny story and everything.
Yeah.
So I wondered if there was a story with this day as well.
Kind of, but it's kind of weird. The name Mabon for this day is actually more of a recent addition. It wasn't always called Mabon.
Okay.
The Druids actually call it Alden Elvid. So it's the light of autumn is what that translates to loosely in English.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
But the name Mabon, though, is more recent. I think it might have been the Wiccan movement that possibly named. I'm not sure. I'm not a pro on that. But it said that it came from the Mabinogion, which is a collection of oral stories that were actually recorded in like the 11th and 12th century by Christian monks, but they were the traditional, a lot of them are pagan stories that were Christianized in that. Yeah. And then it was translated to English in the late 1800s sometime and became the Mabinogion. But there's one single story in it, and it's the story of Mabon or Mabon, but Mabon ap Modron, which I think translates to like son of the mother or great son of the great mother, something to that effect.
Okay.
But he's a really minor character. He was taken from his mother at like, I think 3 days old. He was captured and he lived his whole life in like this dungeon, I guess. And all of a sudden, everybody seemed to know who he was because they knew that he was this great hunter, which is weird because he was in captivity his entire life, but he helped catch this, I think, a pig or so. It's been a while since I've read this story, but then that's the only mention of him in the whole book.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and so I don't know a lot of the folklore behind him, which is it's weird, but it's actually kind of cool and mystical and mysterious.
Yeah, totally. And there's some vibes there of, I think it's the story with like Persephone and Demeter, maybe, that like one of them had to live in the underworld. They were taken very young, something like that. I'm getting vibes from that as well. Yeah,
well, totally. Because I think pomegranate, because that's Persephone's symbol, right? Is pomegranate.
Right.
And I think that's one of the symbols of Mabon as well.
Oh, okay. Wow. So, but there's this book out there that has a whole bunch of stories though, but we just know this one. That's wild.
Yeah, that's the only story in it. But yeah, the Mabinogion, highly recommend reading it. If you're a history nerd, you'll like it.
Yeah.
It might be a little dry for some people. It's very old English, but it's great. It's even got stories about. We call her the goddess Rhiannon, but she's just a queen or something. So.
Oh, wait.
But yeah.
Rhiannon, is that what you said?
Rhiannon, yeah.
Yeah, no, because I feel like I only know that because of Stevie Nicks, which is amazing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, she's totally a deity. She's a total pagan deity, but in these stories, like I said, they were Christianized. They were recorded by Christian monks. So you kind of have to read through the lines to get the juicy bits. But yeah, so she's in it and she's badass and she does not hold her tongue. It's great.
Ooh, okay. So now this is the next deity that I'm going to look into, because if we got the Stevie Nicks connection, I'm down. I'm here for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we? I mean, unless there's anything we wanted to add about kind of the history of this celebration or anything else that we can kind of do to celebrate, I guess we can move on to some tarot cards that we think correspond. But this will be my first year really getting into it. Jekanovia, is there anything we missed that maybe people can take part in to celebrate?
Just, get outside, really take in the trees. Like it's all about the changing of the seasons. And so
Right.
really kind of think about how your life is also changing and embrace it and get ready for it and be willing to, using the tree analogy, get ready to just, show your true colors to the world and then drop everything that you don't need.
Ooh, love that. That's really good imagery.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, and one other thing too, I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but this is a great time if you're going to wash your bedding, which is, I always suggest doing that anyway, let it hang out in,
Hot tip.
yeah, pro tip. But
What? You guys are supposed to wash your beds?
Hang on a sec.
Yes, but no, if you hang it outside, because the sun actually kills bacteria, right? So I don't know if that's common knowledge, but it's really important to get your clothes outside in the sun, especially your bedding before winter. So that's definitely something you can incorporate into your practice.
Totally. Like I'm thinking about my down comforters that maybe don't get clean as much. So that's a great tip. And I've got a nice big, like it's a hammock thing that I can hang it over, which is always helps with those larger pieces.
Yeah, even if you can't wash it per se, if it's not something that's washable, still put it out in the sun and just let the sun kill off any of that yucky energy, right?
Yes.
Well, now I feel less bad about all the stuff that I accidentally leave outside because it's just getting the bacteria killed.
Totally.
It's true. It's true. And you know what? That's just your intuition. You're not forgetting. Your intuition
There you
is
go.
just making sure that it
Thank
gets
you.
out there.
I like that way of looking at it. Okay, well, why don't we talk about some tarot cards, yeah?
Yes.
So my picks here, I went with kind of some obvious ones in a way. Like I pulled out Justice, of course, because of its correspondence with Libra season, as well as the Empress, because that's ruled by Venus, and Venus is the ruler of Libra. So just that kind of connection there. I also took out the 10 of Pentacles. It was just reminding me of abundance and harvest, and 10 of Pentacles always makes me think of a kind of a legacy in a way. So it's these seeds that you are planting for the future. 10 of Cups, again, abundance, harmony, stability. I saw a lot of the word harmony being used in my research, like just this time of, and I think that could probably be applied to a lot of these Wheel of the Year celebrations. You are always coming together and feeling that peace and that harmony between you and whoever you're celebrating with, right? The Star, because, there's this lovely balance within the Star, and it's kind of a time where you can come back to your center and practice presence and practice gratitude. Temperance, again, for balance as well. That's all I've got on my list. Jessie, you want to tell us some of your picks?
Yes, well, I think all of your selections are spot on. And I also wanted to add the 9 of Cups, because with this piece of gratitude, right, sitting back and just acknowledging what we have, what we're grateful for, kind of taking stock in that. And yeah, just be super mindful about all of the changes and lessons learned and ways that we have grown throughout the year. So as it gets wrapped up and as we head into Samhain, just taking a minute to acknowledge the work that's been done. And then something else that came to mind was the Emperor. And for me, it was visualizing the Emperor as that solid rock, right? So this feeling of coming home to that grounded energy of the mountain or of the tree. And so thinking about that manifesting energy or just being truly connected with purpose. And so Emperor energy there. And then like I mentioned before with our guy, Bacchus, just having some revelry and fun. So maybe the Devil card in the positive spin that the Devil can be, just reminding us to have some fun.
Yeah, I really like that addition. Good call. How about you, Jekanovia? Any other cards to add?
I just have a few to add. I completely agree with all of yours. The one I thought of was the Seven of Pentacles, because you want to really reflect on what's coming to you, on what you're reaping, being mindful of the seeds that you're planting, that kind of energy around that. And also the Nine of Pentacles, because of that abundance and the rewards that you're reaping in from what you have been planting, these last 6 months or so. And then also the Four and the Six of Pentacles kind of together, because the Four of Pentacles is that mindfulness of what you need to hang on to so that, you're filling up your own bucket, taking that kind of a positive spin on it. And then the Six of Pentacles, because then that's that sharing and that bartering and that making sure that, everybody's set, even the less fortunate.
Ooh, I really like that combo.
Yeah, that's lots of pentacles, actually. I kind of went crazy on the pentacles.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense for the time of year, though, right?
It's true.
Yeah. Well, as always, we will have a tarot spread just for our lovely listeners. So you'll find the link in the show notes, and you can just use the code AUTUMN. And hopefully that's fun. If you give it a try, let us know. Share your spread on Instagram if you like. You can tag us, but just keep the details a little private, so it's just special for all of you listeners out there. Now, did we touch on everything? I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous about this episode, just that we would get everything in, because I know that everyone is actually just looking forward to Samhain and Scorpio season. And so I do feel like, Mabon gets short shrift a lot of the time. So, but yeah, in all seriousness, I just want to make sure we covered everything that you guys had in your notes and wanted to bring, to this celebration.
Yeah. For me, I mean, get in your kitchen and bake on those nice, chilly, rainy days, and really kind of try to do the in-season foods, like anything to do with apple, obviously.
Yeah. I know. I was just looking that baking the pie is a totally acceptable ritual for this season, so I can get behind that.
Yeah, it's kitchen magic, right? I mean, we got to do what we got to do.
Yes, and what I now call my bubble friends and I, because there are 6 of us that are very consciously in a bubble with each other during these times, but there's a few of us that have never been apple picking, so that's something that we're going to try and do within the next couple of weekends. So I'm sure there will be
I cannot wait to see those pictures.
I know, I'm very excited, and I think we've found maybe a place. I think that with your cost of admission, you get a free pumpkin too, so I'm pretty excited about that. But
that's
so
exciting.
That should be fun. The final thing, sorry, did one of you have something?
I was just going to say, there is something about a freshly picked ripe apple.
Yeah.
It tastes unbelievable. I mean, as you can imagine, it's close to the source. My good friend brought in some apples from her organic garden, and I just couldn't even believe how delicious and sweet and tasty they were. So for everyone out there, if you have a chance to go apple picking or know someone with an apple tree, even if there's a few spots, cut them out. The apple is going to be so worth it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure even at grocery stores right now, the apples are probably a lot fresher if you're looking for locally grown stuff. Yeah. I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of apple, during the winter, during even the spring and summer, but at this time of year, when I know that they are super fresh, falling off the tree, they're nice and juicy, they're nice and crisp, and I can get into an apple, but it's a very particular time of year for me. So I thought maybe we could close the show because this is kind of a Thanksgiving celebration. Do we want to all say something that we're grateful for and something that we're looking forward to, accomplishing between maybe now and Ostara or now and the next Mabon celebration?
I love that idea. Who would you like to? Should I go?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll start this off. Well, first of all, I'm so thankful for my Tarot Coven castmates. That's hilarious. Just
I like that.
What wonderful friendships. This really is about the time that we started meeting, and I will always just be forever grateful for that. And it's been quite a year. It seems like we've known each other forever, but so grateful for the friends here. And honestly, I'm grateful for the tarot community at large for being, for the most part, so open and accepting and really encouraging the advancement of tarot practices and other arts. Just, so much of this sharing of ideas and support and love. And for anyone out there, it's just been, I've received it. I felt the love and support, whether it's for this podcast or just kind of my own learnings. And so truly grateful for that, because there is so much to learn. And in the next couple of months, I'm really hoping to start some local educational opportunities. So with the tarot, where I'm at with tarot, I think that I do have something to offer. So I've been starting to read at a local institute called the Zen Spot Institute, which I'm really excited about. But I've also just been connecting, online with different modalities to add what I know, whether it be the Ayurvedic or getting into the Reiki energy and connecting it to the seasonal. This Wheel of the Year podcast has been so educational for me. And Jacknovia, thank you so much for your wisdom. I always feel like I learned so much from you. And thank you, Jasmine, for just pulling it together so beautifully. So yeah, excited for what the next couple of months have.
Yeah, well, so that's, on the same wavelength here, because I was also going to say that I'm super grateful for the tarot community, especially the one on Instagram and our listeners, obviously. I just feel like there's always just such a positive spirit. And so much has happened this year. And yes, I think that we are also great at acknowledging when things are shitty and just being okay when things are shitty. But there's also just a real push to improve things and make spaces more inclusive and evolve and progress. And I just really like that. And I'm super excited and looking forward to and hoping to accomplish, between now and the next whatever, just making this podcast a space that's even more inclusive and progressive and bringing more people in. We're going to have some interviews on season 2, and I just really look forward to all that we can learn from our audience and the people that we interact on Instagram and from each other. And I'm also grateful for that too. It's such a rewarding experience, and I'm really thankful for it.
You guys just spoke right from my heart. It was so amazing how you guys worded it. Obviously I'm so grateful for my coven here. You guys don't even understand the difference you've made in my life just because you exist and just because we're together. So I must first say thank you for that. And something else actually that's really been on my mind a lot lately is how grateful I am for the people who, by listening to the podcast and connecting with us, I have gotten so many private messages from people on Instagram, and I'm trying not to get choked up here because it's such a sacred gift, but people are trusting us with some sacred stories and sacred experiences, and they're looking to us for guidance, for suggestions, or even just a listening ear. And to me, that is some of the most sacred gifts that I've ever received in my life. So I just wanted to say thank you to our listeners for that. Please keep it coming, because you are, as many of you have actually said, I'm sorry if I'm bothering you. You are not bothering us ever. We love it when you connect with us, so please don't stop. And as far as what I'm hoping to accomplish in the next year, I have a lot of different creative projects on the go right now that I can't really get into. It's a little secret. So I'm looking forward to that, and as well as just expanding this community, our Tarot Coven, because I'm seeing it grow, and it lights me up, and it makes me so happy.
It's so cool, isn't it? It's just awesome. I think we talked about this on the season 2 finale, just saying I can't even believe, or season 1 finale. Wow. Time travel. Just saying how much it had grown in such a short time and how cool that was to see and how grateful I was. But yeah, it's just, even since we put that episode out, this summer has brought so many more people our way, and it's been so amazing. And I can't wait to talk more with these people. And just awesome. Thanks, guys. And I think maybe the Tarot Coven has some other projects coming down the line for us as well, maybe offering more content. We'll see. We're not sure yet. We've got some ideas. We've been marinating on a few things, so definitely stay tuned for that. And speaking of Instagram, until the next episode, where can everyone find you, Jessie?
Hey everyone, I'm on Tarot with one T in the middle. You can find me online, but yes, I live mostly on Instagram.
Jekanovia, how about you?
I'm mostly on Instagram as well. You can find me at tarot_and_time, THYME.
And same for me, always just hanging out on Instagram. You can find me at the.written.witch, and you can come hang out with the Coven at Tarot Coven Cast. And we'll see you on our next episode. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye. Happy Mabon.
Happy Mabon.
Thank you so much for listening to this bonus episode of the Tarot Coven Cast. Stay tuned for our next bonus episode all about Samhain, and our next regularly scheduled episode, which is the Season 2 premiere. Until then, everyone, keep making magic.